take two. Pips Planespotting live here on the west side of Salt Lake City International Airport. Glad you could join us and excited to have you with us for take two. And I know we were there when we weren't there, but now we're here and we're not going anywhere. So here we are on the west side of Salt Lake City International Airport. As you can see, sunny day and a much better day than when we had Saturday. So you're looking at part of Concourse A in Salt Lake City International Airport. If you're just tuning in, shoot me a question, anything you have about dispatching or anything. We'll be happy to answer it and have conversation for the next almost 3 hours. So I have brought my warmer socks today, so hopefully that should be a better day. It's sunny. Taking a look at the current conditions. Let's check it out. $39 and sunny here in Salt Lake City. Sure doesn't feel like it. Maybe it's because I'm 4, 5, or 6 levels higher, but we are here and present and accounted for. Except departing from the west side on runway 34 left. If we go back, it'll be Spokane. We're heading to post Spokane. Delta 2344 headed to Spokane. And if you know anybody who's interested and would like to join our conversation, feel free to send them the link. $737-900 of Delta getting ready to depart. Looks like to Minneapolis. Glad you could join us for our lunch hour special here. Looking out to the west today. It's like Delta 2298 there, the 737-900. Looks like we've got a race here between Southwest and Delta. Who can get next in line? Got a 737-900 and what appears to be 737-800. Let's see who gets there first. Apparently, because of the short nature of that flight, that 737-900 headed to Reno is in the penalty box for a few minutes for ATC flow control. So we'll just wait on that sucker. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live broadcast. Thank you for joining me. We'll be here for the next just over 2 hours. Got a full battery and a lot of fun here. Delta 2468 appears to be next up while that Reno flight is in the penalty box. And also have Southwest 121 headed to San Diego on a 737-800. Looks like we got a little light de-icing action over there for that Reno flight. I guess they must have picked up a little de-icing, a little ice on the way in. So that's pretty cool. So they'll probably just be doing a type 1, a quick de-ice. So if you haven't checked out my channel, I do have a video on de-icing. I encourage you to watch it. But it looks like they're going to do a quick type 1 de-icing. Must have picked up some light frost on the way into Salt Lake City, which is hard to imagine considering we've got pretty clear skies. But that doesn't always necessitate not needing de-icing. So thanks to each one of you who is tuning in. If you're just tuning in, thought I'd take a quick look at doing a de-icing. Southwest 121 headed to San Diego right there. The 737-800. Safe travels to them, and probably much warmer weather than we are here in Salt Lake City. 39 degrees is where we currently stand, and we've got a couple of planes that are de-icing down here on the pad here on the west side. So we got a couple of bad boys, a couple of 900, 737 900s zooming in there. Well, those two bad boys headed to Reno and Phoenix. Another 737 900 is headed to San Jose del Cabo, Cabo Wabo. I want to be on that plane right now, headed to San Jose del Cabo or Cabo San Lucas. It's about a 3-hour flight. But man, do those warm beaches sound fantastic right now. Thanks for joining in. If you want to say hi, feel free to join us and chat with us. We'll be here for the next 2 hours, just a little over 2 hours, broadcasting live. And we're thrilled to have you. Apologize for a little bit of a late start. We had a little technical gremlins, but we are on now live, good and ready to roll. Looking at a Concourse right now, the closest one to arriving in Salt Lake City International Airport. There are two Concourses, A and B. And A is pretty much owned by Delta. I want to see if I can get close enough to what that says. You may be able to see it at home. I've got a smaller screen, but that's a special livery there, a special stamp, and that's pretty cool. So if you're joining us live, it is Pip's Planespotting. So pleased to have you with us. Feel free to say hi. Don't be afraid and join us. and subscribe. See how these two planes, 737 900s de-icing are doing. Well, it looks like that first one headed to Reno is done and taking off as we speak. And off we go. Looking at gates Alpha 4 and Alpha 2 there. And should be expecting some arrivals coming. I know we've talked about it before, but Salt Lake kind of does two runways, both for arrivals, depending on where you're coming from. A lot of the time, your west arrivals will, from the west, will land here on 3-4 left, and the arrivals from the east will land on runway 3-4 right. Land up there. We've got we got a Boeing party. We've got Southwest 187 headed to Burbank, so Southern California there at the head of the line. Next up, we've got 2710. And also, next up, Salt Lake City to Charlotte on 1020 there on the other 900. Top of the hour, just past the top of the hour. Thanks that you could join Pip's Planespotting Live. So pleased that you could join us. Next arrival will be just in a minute or two. It'll be from Boise, an A319 on a Delta. So we look out towards the west. If you're just joining us, we were on the east side. Hope the view's a little bit better than it was Saturday when there was a giant inversion. Burbank taking off on Southwest 137 hurry as the 319 from Boise on Delta Airlines is making a final. About 2 minutes out. It's pretty light. It's already rotating and taking off. So we'll scan the skies as we look at Concourse A there in Salt Lake City International Airport. In case you're wondering, fun fact, it costs $5 an hour to park up here per hour, which is kind of expensive. So feel free to donate to my page. Salt Lake is very Boeing 737-900 heavy. Behind Delta 1020, we've got 1649, another 737-900 right behind that. And they're inbound. If we can look off into the distance here, we'll see that 319. There she be. Come on, catch up with me. Thanks for joining us on Pip's Plane Spotting. We're looking west in Salt Lake City today and runway 34 left, which is where we'll be for today. Charlotte on a 737-900 for Delta is getting ready to take off. This will be my second broadcast. We always appreciate feedback. Let me know how the quality is and the audio quality as well. Headed off across the country to Charlotte, Delta 1024. 39 degrees is where we stand, so I appreciate you sticking with me and enjoying some cold weather plane spotting. At 16:49, Delta heads off to Seattle. Thanks so much for joining us today. And there's that Boise plane making its way. Pretty convenient. Thanks for the like. And we will be here for the next 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, enjoying plane spotting action. We've got basically a clear concourse, folks, on Salt Lake City. So we should be expecting a lot of arrivals here in the next hour. Now, this is just Concourse A, and Salt Lake City has two concourses, Concourse A and Concourse B. Concourse A is for Delta, basically, and Concourse B is for every other airline not named Delta. And there are actually a few Delta connection flights that fly out of Concourse B, but it's rare, so. Just a nice sunny day. Just wish it was a little bit warmer. That's all. You zoom in close enough, you can kind of see the inside of the terminal. There's a lot of natural light inside the terminal if you've never been to Salt Lake City before. This concourse, this Concourse A, this was the first one done, and it's about 3 years old. So this is a newer airport. Got a little break in the action here. So yeah, if you look at Concourse A, very much a neutral color to blend in with kind of the high desert surroundings. We're at about 4,300 feet here and above sea level here in Salt Lake City. And as we look west, that's over towards Wendover and Nevada. But thanks for joining in. Appreciate you joining in. And what we're looking forward to, honestly, I'll be honest, it's about in an hour or so, we'll get a couple of heavies arriving, the European arrivals from across the pond from Delta. So that's why we decided to set up on the west side today, is to hopefully catch some of those transatlantic arrivals that usually the keyword, usually end up arriving on 3-4 right. So you're there, you can see threshold of the runway, the beginning of runway 34 left. See what we've got inbound. Like we got a nice little gap here, but we're pleased to have you join the broadcast as well. Next half hour, your arrivals look like this. What we expect to arrive on runway 34 left will be Delta 2881 from Sacramento, Phoenix 737-800 on flight 1570 from Phoenix. Also from Sacramento, 2901 as 737-700. Spokane, E175, and Las Vegas, Delta 2006 on a 737-900. And Los Angeles, also a 737-900, coming in on Delta 1434. Top of the hour, Seattle 2878 on a 737-800. And we should see that, and we'll talk about those arrivals in about a half hour. See those in the next 45 minutes to the top of the hour. In case you're wondering if you're tuning in, those transcontinental across the Atlantic look like this. Paris on flight 221 from Delta, an A330-900 should arrive at about 1:22. Then we've got Amsterdam at 1:55 as scheduled to arrive at 1:41 on Delta flight 57. And looks like London, we might catch it on Delta 51, an A330-300. That is at 2:15 is when it's scheduled to arrive. But we will see what happens with that. In the meantime, give you a little topography here. If we look towards the west, those are the Ochre Mountains, and we look further south. Those are the Ochre Mountains. Clouds kind of covering that. But that's the real wilderness. And if you look over those mountains, there's a city called Tooele. So if you know anybody in Tooele, if you go just past those mountains on I-80 West, you will see Tooele. And then from there, it's a whole lot of deserts. That's, if you look that way, that's where the Bonneville Salt Flats are. So where they do all the high-speed testing and the records. As I put on kind of a hat to warm my head, that's where you're going to see, and that's about 90 minutes because Wendover is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, about 2 hours away if we look towards the west. So just a topography reference for you, learning a little more about Utah in the west. Thanks for joining your lunch hour or spending your lunch hour or lunch break with me or a little downtime. Broadcasting live from Salt Lake City International Airport, looking west on the west side of the airport on runway 34 left. Nice little break in the action. Salt Lake, not the busiest airport, but has about 26 million passengers a year. And with Delta signing a new long-term agreement in the last 2 weeks, we will expect that to grow, especially as the second concourse gets done. Second half of the concourse, excuse me, Concourse B and Concourse A as well. Also interesting to note, if you are an NBA fan, Salt Lake City is home of the All-Star Game, so I expect it to be a busy next couple of weeks for Salt Lake City Airport and the surrounding region. All-Star Game is, let's check that out. 2023 All-Star Game. Doing a little research here. is, when is it? Come on, Google. It is February 17th through the 19th is the All-Star game for the NBA. So if you are traveling, I might maybe avoid Salt Lake City, or at least the hotel rooms would be super expensive. Now we've got some action working out. This is Spirit 271 right there on an A320 Neo departing to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is very much in demand. A lot of people go to school out here from Las Vegas and vice versa. There are 4 carriers in Utah that service Las Vegas. Of course, Spirit, which just started flying here about a year ago in May, they do 3 routes right now. They fly to Las Vegas, Orlando, and Los Angeles. Then also flying to Las Vegas, you've got Frontier, you've got Delta, of course, and at Provo Airport, which is about 45 minutes south, actually you have 5 carriers, excuse me, because you have both Allegiant and newly minted Breeze, which has been in operation for a little under 2 years. Whoops, sorry about that. But yeah, so Las Vegas is a heavily covered route by several airlines. If you have any questions about dispatching or about aviation in itself, feel free to message me. I'll be happy to help and answer when I can. Or if you just wanted to say hi, thanks for joining me, enjoying your lunch hour wherever you are. Still have another hour and a half, almost 2 hours to go here. So plenty of time to chime in and chat with me, join the conversation. Fire those babies up, and we're off to Vegas. God, they're so much quieter than the previous generation of engines. This, of course, an A320 Neo. Thanks if you're just tuning in. I see we've got a few new viewers. So thanks for joining us as we look west. Behind Concourse A there. We are expecting a lot of action in the next hour. So if you're just tuning in, lunchtime, but in the next hour, we'll pick up significantly, especially on the west side, with a lot of arrivals from the West Coast. Got a lonely A319 there, just arrived from Boise. Zoom in if we can. If I was going to start an airline, one of my favorites would be the A319. And here's why. A lot of people just stream in, but there's good information behind it. So an A319 is great because it offers excellent short field performance and still excellent range as far as flying. So if you look, in fact, let me give you an example. If you look at Jackson Hole International Airport up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, obviously very popular for people who like to ski and whatnot. But if you notice, if you go to Flight Radar or Flight Aware, they don't do a lot of 321s or 320s because the runway in Jackson Hole, and hopefully I'll get up there broadcasting live soon, is extremely short for a high altitude airport. It's 6,300 feet, I believe, or just over that. So the A319 is an excellent aircraft for short field performance and high altitudes. So if I were to start an airline, I would definitely consider the A319. I know it's not super popular, especially the Neos. I think there's like 3 or 4 airlines that fly them. But overall, I would highly recommend the 319 as far as performance. So Pip joining you. Thanks so much for the likes and tuning in with us. We're looking to the west. We are looking at runway 34 left today, just joining us. We are on the west, looking at the west side operation here from Salt Lake City. So let's take a look at the radar here and see what we see if we've got any arrivals inbound. Whoops. That's I-80, by the way, if you're just looking. I-80 traverses just south of the airport. So let's do a quick look at what we're seeing here as far as arrivals. It's like Southwest Airlines 2901 from Sacramento should be on the ground in the next 10 minutes, as well as 2881 and A22300, one of my favorite aircraft as well. Delta 2881, next 10 minutes should be arriving here on runway 34 left if the routing of ATC holds as planned. And as things go on, we're going to try and make the broadcast better. So thank you so much for the early followers for tuning in and enjoying the broadcast. That really means a lot to me personally and makes a huge difference. So thank you so much. We just about 90 minutes to go here, and a little over 90 minutes to go here in the broadcast. So we'll look for those that A220 Delta 2881 from Sacramento, and also Delta, Southwest 2901 from Sacramento. Right there, that is the Hyatt Place, in case you're wondering, while we're waiting for those arrivals. And there are several hotels here on the west side of the airport. In fact, although there is no airport hotel as of yet. So that's something that currently is in discussions. But with the new airport, have not seen any plans for a new airport hotel, which would be actually mighty nice, especially on like a snowy cancellation day. If you're just tuning in, it's Pip's Planespotting Live, second broadcast, second of many. First second of many. So thank you for joining. And if you have any questions or want to say hi, feel free to join the chat. Looking to the west, waiting for arrivals from Southwest and Delta. From Sacramento, the capital of California. Fun fact. My mom would be so pleased that I still have knowledge. If you're new to Salt Lake City Airport, you're just tuning in for the first time. A couple things to keep in mind about Salt Lake City Airport. They run parallel runways on the west and east side. There are 3 runways that they typically use for departures and arrivals. The runway we're looking at today and broadcasting from will be 34 left, 16 right. And the runways on the east side are runway 1735 and runways 16 left, 34 right. And today we're going with a north flow, which means we're going to be arriving on the north facing runway. So that's why we talk about runway 34 right. So your heading based on a compass is 340 degrees approximately. And that's due to the wind. So we've got a light winds out of the north, but it's more for ATC preference sometimes. So sometimes they'll have a light tailwind as well. But right now the winds are light out of the north, greater than 6 miles visibility, and just a few wispy clouds in the sky. So a nice day to do plane spotting here at Salt Lake City International Airport. And it's chilly, but nonetheless enjoyable. I wore my thick socks today, and they're doing all right so far, but I may have to wear my boots next time. Well, there's something we don't see too often. I'm going to pan to the right here real quick before we miss those arrivals. Yeah, a 767. Let's see where that bad boy's heading. I haven't seen one in Salt Lake for a few weeks, so that's pretty cool. Going to Honolulu. So enjoy the warmer weather. 730 or 767 400 headed to Honolulu. And I think I see our arrival just on the horizon from Sacramento. The question is it the Southwest arrival or is it the Delta arrival? So we'll check out and see who's first. Not quite on top of the building, Cindy. I am on the 5th floor of the parking garage. So thanks for the question. But I am on the 5th floor of the parking garage as we kind of turn our attention to the south, where we'll see this arrival. Is it Delta or is it Southwest? It's a race. There it is. It appears to be Delta, the A220-300. That was a silky smooth touchdown right there. 5 bonus points to that captain. Let's see if they're going to release this Honolulu flight or if they're going to wait for the Southwest traffic to make its mark and land. Thanks for the likes and the questions. You're welcome to join the conversation. So I'm trying to stay warm here with a little beanie. It's a 767 400 waiting to go to Honolulu. Right behind it, CRJ headed to Phoenix. Probably one of the few last Mesa flights. We zoom out and see Southwest 2901 from Sacramento on a 737-700. There's an A220-100 just arriving in on the east side runway, 34 right. Or excuse me, that was the arrival from Sacramento on the 300. I think there's about 15 passenger difference, seat passenger difference between the 100 and 300. And there's our big boy, our 767-400 headed to Honolulu. Goodbye to warmer temperatures. Totally jealous. Totally. Wish I worked for the airlines and could fly for free. Perhaps someday. I did, and I miss it. Meanwhile, this is 5743 going to Phoenix. I wish I could go with Cindy. I would definitely be on board with that. You are welcome to come aboard. And you know, Salt Lake actually has a few departures to Honolulu or to the Hawaiian Islands. It also goes to Kauai, Honolulu, and I think there's one more, and I can't remember if it's Kauai or Iluhui or, but I think there's 3. So that's pretty awesome. Hey, all right, we just hit a new mark. Second broadcast, and we've got 11 viewers. That's pretty good. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the lunch hour. Very exciting. We just love sharing what we got and good plane spotting and good knowledge as well. So that's a big bonus right there. So thank you so much. Thanks for the like. It's pretty cool seeing that 767. It's not something you see every day. Thanks for the likes and conversation. You're welcome to ask a question about dispatching, anything you'd like. I am here for you for the next hour and a half if the battery holds up. You know, some people, yeah, it was Cindy. Most definitely was. I know some people have a lot of questions about dispatching and also getting into the aviation industry. So happy to help where I can. Here at Salt Lake City International Airport, it's part of Pip's Plane Spotting Live. I am Pip. Glad you could join us. Taking a look while we've got a little break in the action here. We're going to turn over to Concourse A. There's our A22300 that arrived from Sacramento. That's deplaning now. And then we've got an A319 there hiding. That was from Boise. I suspect it'll probably head back out west somewhere. A319, like I said before, is great for Jackson Hole. Short runways, also Key West. Key West has got about a 4,800 foot runway. And so the A319 is a beast on performance and does a great job on that. Next 10 minutes, we should be expecting an E175 inbound from Spokane on 3545 Delta 3545. Behind that, we've got Delta 843 scheduled to arrive in the next 10 minutes on an A319, Delta 843. You can join me in the conversation and chat with me. I'll answer your questions. 39 degrees is where we're currently situated at here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City International Airport. If you're looking in, that is Concourse A, the first concourse built at the new airport. There is also Concourse B, which holds basically every other carrier except Delta. So if you're flying Southwest, JetBlue, Spirit, Frontier, Alaska, United, you're going to be headed towards Concourse B, which, if you've never been to Salt Lake City, I'm going to advise you now to give yourself plenty of time, because if you're going to Concourse B, it's about a mile walk, and there is no high-speed tram. It's all walking. It is all walking. Thank you so much for the likes. Really appreciate that. I love sharing this stuff with you and giving you knowledge as well. And we're going to be expanding our offering as well. Some things are in the works that we're excited about. And as far as broadcasting live, reminder, too, that Salt Lake is home of the NBA All-Star Game from the 17th to the 19th. And so if you are headed to Salt Lake City, I would advise you during that time to, maybe not, unless you're going to the game, or be careful, or just, expect longer lines, expect also more crowds. So Salt Lake City is a big airport. So as far as people, it's spaced out fairly well, but also because it is a big airport, that it takes forever to get anywhere in the concourses. I mean, if we, zooming out here, I mean, if you look, the concourse stretches all the way to the west side. So it's not a short walk. The one thing Salt Lake does better than any other airport, this is 100% true. They have more bathrooms than anybody I've seen, and the bathroom stalls are huge, so you don't feel cramped. So if Salt Lake City Airport is watching, kudos to you. A thumbs up to that, because the bathrooms are outstanding. Looking off to the west, looks like we've got our Spokane arrival on 3575 coming just around the corner. So we'll pan off to the right here. and look south as it makes its arrival at Embraer E175 from Spokane. I don't currently have a mic for the sound, so that's something I'm working on. So I appreciate your patience. You can't necessarily hear the thrust of the engines, but we're working on that. It was Delta Connection Flight 3575. That was flown by SkyWest. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about regional carriers in a minute and give you a little background on them if you're not too familiar with them. Right behind it, we've got Delta Flight inbound on an A3, I want to say it was a 319 from San Francisco. Just coasting on in. It's like a good slow motion landing. Man, if I had $25,000, I'd buy myself some slow mo equipment right there. Looking off to the southwest right now. We had 15 minutes till the top of the hour. 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in Salt Lake City, if you're just joining us, is typically where the Transatlantic arrivals come in. So we're looking forward to that. Thanks for tuning in. And as I mentioned, regional airlines are obviously a huge part of what major airlines do. If people aren't too familiar with what regional airlines are, the names PSA, Piedmont, SkyWest, Republic, they all are part of a larger plan by airlines to get passengers to the hubs. So United, Delta, American, all those airlines that have hubs, uh, regional airlines play a huge part in that. We saw that Spokane flight just landing 3535 on a smaller jet, an E175, which holds typically around 76 passengers. Well, those airlines, they're completely different. They wear the Delta name and the Delta stamp on their planes, but they are not owned by Delta, or for example, or American. SkyWest is wholly owned by a different. They're owned by themselves. United, I believe, is taking over Commute Air. Mesa, for example, is going to be doing a lot of flying for United, but Mesa's a totally different airline. So the regional airlines fly the smaller jets. They wear the branding of each airline of the main line. However, they are not owned by typically by those major airlines. The exception is Delta Connection, which is Endeavor Air, and Endeavor is wholly owned by Delta. The other exception is also American owns PSA, they own Piedmont, and they own Envoy. So the exceptions to the rule of regional airlines being owned by them, by themselves, is for Delta, it's Endeavor. Endeavor is wholly owned by Delta. And for American, they own PSA, Piedmont, and Envoy. So I hope that gives you a little background and knowledge, because people sometimes get confused that the Delta Connection flight has Delta on it, but it's actually ran by SkyWest. And the major airlines like Delta, United, American, they all run contracts with these regional airlines, and then they negotiate for certain pay and everything that comes with it for flights that have been completed. So it's a little bit of everything. So I thought that would be an interesting tidbit for you. Okay, we're looking west. We'll come back here, comb the A Concourse. Inbound to us here on 3-4 left on final 2027 from San Jose, California on a 220. So we'll scan to the west and zoom out. And I kind of picked earlier in the day because obviously the sun is going to be setting to the west, so it'll be right in your face if we were here later in the afternoon. So that's why we're going to jet out of here around 2 o'clock, so the sun doesn't create too much of a problem, so you can have good viewing coverage of the action. And this is an A220-100 from San Jose, California. See the Hilton Garden Inn, the La Quinta in the distance. One thing about Salt Lake City Airport, too, that they've experienced explosive growth, which they don't have much parking. So I would recommend public transportation if you are trying to get into the middle of the city, because parking is expensive at the garage. By the way, it's $5 an hour at the garage, and then it's $35 overnight. And it's expensive. Economy's $10 a day, which you're looking at right there. In the foreground, it's $10 a day. Inbound to us in the next 5 minutes, Delta 1221 on a 737-900 from Minneapolis. Made the left turn and headed for runway 34 left. In the next 15 minutes, Delta 2532 from Portland on a 737-800's 15 minutes out. And also, about 8 minutes out, will be Delta 2878 on a 737-800. So we've got a 900 and two 800s behind that. And then looking as far as our Transatlantic, I do see Delta 221 on the A330-900. It's about a half hour out. Looks like it's beginning its descent. So we should see that arriving on the west side here on 34 left in about a half hour. So that's pretty cool. Pips Planespotting live here with you. Thank you for joining us, for the likes and for the conversation. Hopefully my battery life on the laptop will survive here. I charge it up, but I guess it doesn't like cold weather too much. So we've got about half the battery life left. So we look over towards Concourse A. We see that 22100 arriving from San Jose. Going to be taking up gate space. See where it's headed. I don't work at the airport, actually, Cindy. No, not that lucky. I have applied for jobs. So right now, I'm going to school, and took a break from working for the airlines full time, so I could focus on going to school in the fall. So I'm getting some things ready, but I may be working part time for the airline, perhaps. It's in the interview process, and if it goes further, perhaps I'll let you know. Thank you for asking. So it looks like that A220 is going to be going to Alpha 10. 10! At least it appears that way. Safety's, and folks, I want to stress this, that you see the wing walkers down there, that guy right there. Safety is of utmost importance, because obviously you see the horror stories when planes crash into each other when they're backing up or whatever. So focus and safety is the number one thing if you ever get in an interview for a job in airlines. Period. End of story. Safety, number one thing we look for. Pips Planespotting live here, approaching the top of the hour. I think we can hold out for maybe the Amsterdam arrival at about 1:45. After that, I think the battery life is going to go. So, which is kind of disappointing. I'm going to write Apple and talk to them and be like, this is unacceptable. So we'll see what happens with that. But thanks for joining us. Should say joining me. I'm doing all the legwork here, but we are live at Salt Lake City International Airport. Zoom out, get a little better look at Concourse A. This is where we're at today. On Saturday, we were on Concourse, looking over at the other side of Concourse A, but we were on the east side of the airport. Thanks for your likes and subscriptions and questions. We'll be happy to answer them about dispatching or anything else. So we expect those arrivals here in the next 5 minutes. Unless ATC did a sidestep on me, which they have been known to do. I mean, ATC pretty much runs the show, so whatever they do, just kind of go with. Looking out to the west here. As we hit the top of the hour, let's run for you what we expect to arrive here on our west side. Delta 2878 from Seattle should be here in the next 5 minutes. Delta 2121 from Burbank arrive about 1:20. San Francisco 843 landed 20 minutes early. We saw that, as well as San Jose 2027 land early. Should also see Portland 2532 behind Seattle here in the next 5 minutes. And San Diego landed on the east side. How dare they? And looks like from there, we've got our big Transcon arrival. Transatlantic 221, Delta 221 on an A330 900 at the bottom of the hour. So we will expect that. And Amsterdam looks like it is scheduled to arrive at 1:35 from Delta Flight 57 on an A330 300. And maybe we might see Frontier 2942 on an A320. We'll see if they route them to the west side or east side for arrival. Thanks so much for joining us here on your lunch hour and for liking us and subscribing. I promise you there's more great coverage to come, and it will get even better here as we look to the southwest and wait for those two 737-800s from Seattle and Portland to arrive. And there they are. 737-800 from Seattle is first in line. Starting to get a little windy up here. It's a 737-800 from Delta. And then I see in the distance another 737-800 coming in from Portland right behind that. Speaking of Seattle and Portland, Portland's kind of like a mini hub. Delta's trying to grow that operation and will be running actually in the fall Trans-Pacific flights to Incheon, Seoul on an A350. So we're expecting that. I believe late summer or maybe it's early spring, but I know Delta has plans to run to Seoul from Portland on an A350 nonstop, which is unique. Also, Delta runs a flight to Amsterdam from Portland. Whoops. So the evens are filling up here on the A Concourse, as we just saw 2830 from Portland just land. So we've got an A320, an A220-100, an A220-300, 737-900, an A319. Typically, history-wise, you'll see at night they will put the 757 here on the evens. That typically either goes to Detroit or Atlanta, another Delta hub, which is kind of a fun fact. If you're a fan of the 757, of course, one of the few airlines that still run it, United as well. The flying pencil 757-300 that they fly. Yep, plane guy, you are exactly right. We are from the parking garage, and thanks for tuning in and joining us. We'll be here for hopefully about another hour, just over an hour, if the battery can hold up in this cold weather. But you are spot on, plane guy, on the fifth floor parking garage. Next inbound should be an E175 3359 Alaska from San Francisco to Salt Lake City. Expect that to arrive in the next 10 minutes. Meanwhile, looking further out on the airspace, I've got Delta 221 from Paris. Will be here in about 20 minutes, just past Logan, making its way south into the Wasatch Front and over the Great Salt Lake. So, speaking of, we've got a minute here. I hope anybody who's tuning in right now got a chance to see the last 747 ever delivered last week. I actually have a video of it on my page. They were doing test runs in Moses Lake, Washington, where Boeing has a facility. And so I got a few photos as well as video of that. And so I hope if you get a chance, you can check that out. That's a pretty cool thing, and really grateful I was able to catch that. So. Pip's Planespotting Live, just tuning in. I've got some new followers and subscribers. Thank you so much for doing this and being a part of the action. We will be updating you. In fact, I'll be updating you if you subscribe to the channel. Quick little videos in advance when we'll be out doing live again, if we're on location somewhere, or if we're going to be hanging out here at Salt Lake City. And yes, so great question about the flight dispatching. I will be doing, should have a new video published on Thursday, this Thursday, so in about 2 days, on the pilot dispatcher relationship, where I actually interview a pilot for a major airline here in the States. So that'll be exciting. I do want to let you know, and I apologize in advance that I didn't have my microphone. So, and it was a windy day in Dallas when I met up with him. So it's going to be a little hard to hear, so I'm going to try and cut out the parts that you can't hear, but also make sure that you can hear that. So expect a new video to come out Thursday on the pilot dispatcher relationship. And then I'm also going to be scheduled to interview a dispatcher, um, working in the industry at a low-cost carrier, probably within the next week, and hopefully week or two, and hopefully I'll get that published in the next couple of weeks. But I'll definitely be working on some videos as well. So thank you for that, Asgir, and we'll make sure that it happens. Thank you. Right now, and speaking of currently in the United States, as far as dispatching jobs go, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. I think the airlines are all trying to see where the economy ends up, where the demand is. But I do know they still are hiring. I heard Southwest is going to have a class in May. Envoy does have listings for dispatching right now, and I think their class will be in the spring. So I'm guessing late March, April. So Envoy spelled Echo November Victor Oscar Yankee. So I hope that helps give you a little more information. We'll talk about dispatching as well. Just joining us, thanks so much. Pip's Planespotting Live. We've been doing it for about an hour and a half, and we'll be doing it till just past the 2 o'clock hour. So if you have questions or if you just want to shoot the bull and talk aviation, things you like, love to hear it. If anybody's got a favorite plane, I'd love to hear what your favorite plane is. My personal favorite is either the Dreamliner or the A220, probably the 300, just because it's a little bit bigger. But those are my personal favorites. You can't go wrong with 757 or but those are my personal favorites. I see Alaska 3359 on the horizon and is making its way onto runway 34 left, which is where we're facing. So we'll pan to the left here and catch that 175, Embraer 175 that is arriving right now from San Francisco into Salt Lake City. Which you'll see here in just a minute, right there. Smooth landing by that SkyWest pilot, plane 3359 from San Francisco. See what the action's going down here on Concourse A on the even gates. If you can look close, some of those actually have the departures of where they are going. So if you can see, you can also see where they're arriving from. Whoops. Also, if you look there, you can see this is the new concourse, about 3 years old at Salt Lake City. So they have a lot of natural light coming in. And they've got two concourses here. There's a Concourse A and a Concourse B. And Concourse A is basically, I don't want to say owned, but I've never seen a non-Delta flight out of Concourse A. So Concourse A is all Delta. And then just to recap what we talked about a little bit a while ago, Concourse B is the rest of the airlines. So United, Southwest, Spirit, Frontier, JetBlue, I think I said Southwest, American, and Aeromexico, and everybody else flies out of that. So Concourse B. .38 is where we currently stand, broadcasting to you live from Salt Lake City International Airport. Here on the west side, if you're just tuning in for the first time, Delta Flight 221. I can actually see it looking directly west here. There it is. Currently at 9,000 feet. It's going to probably go 10 miles south of the airport, make a left turn, and then come back around and land probably on 3-4 left. We're going to work. We're working on getting the ATC audio as well. So I am one man, and I'm just trying to make things work a little bit one at a time. Thank you for viewing and and hopefully I can provide some knowledge and entertainment along with some great plane spotting action live. One thing that we're gonna try and do is go on location if we can. So we'll give you plenty of advance notice if we head to a new airport, because Salt Lake City is my home base right now. But we definitely want to see if we can make this work. So if you want to support the channel, we'd love support via PayPal, and look forward to it. Tyson, thanks, man. Sandy, I love airplanes too. That makes two of us. Love it. Absolutely. Thanks, Tyson, for tuning in. What's I mentioned my favorite airplanes. Anybody else have a favorite airplane? My personal favorite's the 22300, Airbus A22300, and also the Dreamliner. Can't go wrong with the Boeing Dreamliner. So love that action. On the east side arrivals, you will see 2121 and A22100 arriving from Burbank, and also 2065 from DFW American 2065 on a 321. No, Tyson, I am not, but thank you for asking. I actually don't have any immediate relatives in Utah, so it's just me and working the good and going to school. So thank you for asking, though. Just a guy who loves aviation and loves to educate and teach. So it's pretty exciting to be out here. And it's a cold one with a little bit of a wind out of the north. So we're going to have arrivals coming from the south, landing on runway 34 left. Just waiting for that big boy, the A330-900, to make that left turn over South Jordan and head on in. on the visual, 3-4 left. Should see a couple departures here on the west side, but as a whole, most of the departures, because the predominantly most of the traffic here, obviously being out west, is going to depart out of the east side of the airport. So runway 3-4 right or 16 left. So that's the east side as well as 1735. And the east side of the airport also has the general aviation traffic and the private jet as well. So if you had a chance to check out that video, I was actually broadcasting live on Saturday from the east side. And we'll kind of rotate between the east and the west side on what, depending on the action. We wanted to get to the west side here early so that the sun wouldn't be in our eyes, obviously, looking west here, and so you could get a view of the airplanes and the sun's not right glaring in the camera. So Pip broadcasting live here. Thanks for tuning in. We're looking, current view is Concourse A on the even gates. So you got like A10, A8. Something that's kind of interesting is that, so if we look at the gates that are furthest west, you would think that they are higher numbers, but they're actually A2, A1. In fact, if we zoom in right there, you can kind of see. So those gates that are furthest west are A2, A4. So if you're traveling through Salt Lake and you get like a gate like A25, that's like when you get out of security, you're at like A24, A26. So less of a walk if you can get away with that with Delta. So that's just a fun little fact about Salt Lake City Airport. And of course, the B gates, you got to walk about a half mile, mile from security to get to your gate. So just keep that in mind as you travel through Salt Lake City International Airport. Thanks for the likes and the subscriptions and new viewership total. I think we hit 16, and I know this is our only second broadcast, so that doesn't seem like a much. But you are joining me on your lunch hour, or maybe if you're on the East Coast, trying to make it through the rest of the day. But regardless, we're glad that you could join us for the broadcast here. Be here for just over a half an hour, and Clive. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. The snow's been beautiful. It's probably been the best year we've had in want to say probably at least a decade. So plenty of great snow. And folks, as I speak, I see our A330-900 off in the distance, making an approach for runway 13 left, or excuse me, 34 left. And so I will zip it. And even though don't have the greatest audio, you can enjoy it. And I'll try and do my best to keep up. But she is a beaut. We kind of wait for it to peer out. There it is in the distance, if you can see it. And just a beautiful bird. This is Delta 221 coming in from Paris. Love those. Love that jet. It's just magical and bonjour indeed, Cindy. Yeah. So, fun fact about Salt Lake City International Airport. It is a hub, if you aren't aware of, for Delta Airlines. Smaller hub, maybe not the size of Atlanta or Detroit or Minneapolis, but an important one nonetheless. And check out that view of the mountains here while we have a moment. Clive, this one's for you, bud. We're looking west towards southwest towards the Ochre Mountains. And yeah, but as I was saying, Delta is a hub for, or Salt Lake City is a hub for Delta. And so you will see some transatlantic flights. Right now, they are running daily nonstops to Amsterdam, to Paris, and to London. Paris and Amsterdam are obviously unique because they are KLM is Amsterdam's home base, and Air France comes from Paris. So Delta is, of course, SkyTeam partners with KLM and Air France, so that makes a lot of sense. And then London's kind of unique in that it's its own base a little bit. So I thought that was interesting. Absolutely, it's a beautiful city. I'll tell you, there's nothing more beautiful when you come in on approach and you're sitting in the window seat, and you're looking towards the mountains, and there's snow on top of it, and there's snow. It's just absolutely gorgeous. We had about an inch yesterday, and the forecast is we may get some towards the weekend. But overall, it's been a fantastic year for snowfall in Salt Lake City, and which makes a big difference for skiers. Not only that, but also our water supply here in Utah, because a lot of what we use comes from runoff. So, fun little fact. But meanwhile, as we're looking at the arrivals for the next half hour before, just over half hour before we get on out of here, uh, we do see Delta 57 from Amsterdam is about 15 minutes out, just passing Ogden, headed south. So we'll see that in just a little bit. And on the east side arrivals, I know I don't have a camera, but we might want to do that eventually, and we'll work on that. You've got some general aviation traffic, including a Dassault 900 private jet there. Yes, Tyson, I am. I will let you know in advance. And make you aware of what's going on. I usually send out a video. This is only my second time doing the broadcast, Tyson. So we'll make things aware. And yeah, Tyson, fifth floor parking garage. You know what's nice about this is if you are local, or loco, if you are local, you can take tracks, the Green Line out here for free. Well, not for free, but low cost, right? $5 round trip, and you can actually come out here and Planespot at the garage and do photography, and then that doesn't cost you anything to park at the garage. So you can just come out here and take tracks and just hang out here on the fifth floor of the parking garage. Now, I myself, just for some of the equipment I had to carry, it was just easier for me to park here. So but if you'd like to support the channel and my parking fees, I'll gladly celebrate that as we get the channel up and running. But it makes things a little bit easier for me. But coming into the view shortly, we do have a departure. Alaska 614 out of Concourse B. Be flying the 737-900 series. 614 headed to Alaska's hub in Seattle. So, Tyson, to answer your question, we'll let you know if you subscribe to the channel. But also, you can come out here since you're a local guy from Sandy and take the Green Line. If you're south in Sandy, you'd probably want to take I think it's either probably the Blue Line, and just transfer at the front runner station or close to it and catch the Green Line. Or you could do the Main Street station in front of City Creek Center, the mall. So It's super easy and super enjoyable. And so, yeah, this is one of the better places. I'd also recommend, and we'll put a list together, actually, I think, of my favorite plane spotting airports. Because if you look at my channel and look at all the videos, I've been to close to 50 airports for plane spotting videos. This is only my second time doing it live, but overall, got close to 50 airports for plane spotting. So everything from Chicago O'Hare to LA. And then on the East Coast, Boston, JFK, LaGuardia, just a really good Dallas, Houston, really good variety, Atlanta. And I'll keep traveling to them and putting up videos because I just love aviation like you guys and really enjoy talking about it and being a part of it. Cindy, haven't done BWI yet, but that is on the list. Got to catch probably a Southwest nonstop flight out there to the East Coast. So BWI is not there yet. This is Alaska and 624 headed to Seattle, taking off. So having one today. Off into the sky. Let's take a look at Concourse A here while we got a second. See what is happening on the even gates right now. Starting to see some departures out of the gates. And, for aviation people are just tuning in, it's all about the turn time, right? It's, can we turn a plane in 35 minutes? So that's what we're counting on. That's what we're watching here on the A gates. And I think it might be fun one time. A lot of cool ideas are coming in from you guys and myself. So timing how long it takes to turn a plane. So that'll be fun. Yeah, so the parking garage, you're right. This is the top level, Cindy. It'd probably be the toughest. The other view is, yeah, so when we were doing the east side, the concourse actually blocks it. So you're right. Now you can catch it a little bit, but yeah, not the best. So I might try. I've got a secret spot that once I get a little more equipment, I might try and broadcast from live, but it's going to be a more remote location. So I don't have the parking garage. But yeah, absolutely. So this is Pip broadcasting live. Thanks for joining us. Just me, myself, and I. Oh, yeah. Okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, so BWI, I try and do the advanced spotting, try and look in the maps and everything and see what obstacles might be in the way. So I know there's a spot on the south end, Cindy, but I don't know that they always use that runway, and the winds have to be favorable to that coming over your side. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. So. Arriving in the next 10 minutes, Amsterdam, Delta 57, an A330 300. So next 10 minutes, just keep an eye out for that on the east side. Next 10 minutes, 1532 from Houston Intercontinental, George Bush Intercontinental arriving. kind of funny arriving from the west side here in the next 10 minutes. We have probably the largest plane that arrives from Salt Lake is the A330, and then the smallest plane is right behind it, a CRJ 200. So that's kind of funny. So we'll watch that for the next 10 minutes. In the meantime, Southwest 5500 headed to Long Beach. We'll be shortly peering into our view here as I pan off to the right. So it's on a 737-700. So if you're not too familiar with Southwest, let's talk about the types of planes they fly. They fly an all Boeing fleet, of course, and they fly the 737-700, which is the smallest variant and carries, I think, 143. Because it's just under that 150 passenger threshold. Then also they fly the 737-800. They do not fly the 737-900. They jump over that, and then they do the 737 MAX 8. So the newest generation of Boeing airplanes, the MAX. And then they're also in works with the 737 MAX 7 is where Southwest is looking at. So. And just out of information, I did see talking with a friend that they do have a ramp supervisor position open here in Salt Lake. So if you have ramp experience, you may want to apply. So just a thought there. But Southwest always a good company. I know they did have a tough December, and they're working on that. So, but overall, they're a good company. They have a fantastic match for your 401k. It's like 9%. That's not a joke. It is 9%, a 9% 401k match from Southwest. So it's a pretty good match. So if you do end up working with them, that's a good opportunity right there. Just waiting to get the approval to get released, and there he goes. Headed off to Long Beach, which is just south of Los Angeles, southwest, about 20 minutes. Long Beach Airport, southwest of LAX. Oh, Cindy's got a good question. How fast must they go during takeoff? Well, it kind of depends on a number of factors, including temperature, winds, and everything that goes with it. So it's not an easy answer, but I would say, as a general rule, these planes will about 150 miles an hour, 150, 160 miles an hour. And here is our A220 Burbank arrival. The A220-100 Burbank's a little bit late today. All right, so Burbank is in. Burbank's kind of unique, and hopefully I can give you some good airport information. But Burbank's kind of unique in that they don't have any jet bridges. Like they do not have jet bridges. They have um, basically air stairs. So when I say jet bridges, I'm talking about those things, those little bridges that lead on to the airport or the airplane, excuse me. So they don't. Burbank does not have any jet bridges. Part of that reason is because the weather in California is so nice. They really don't need any jet bridges to be away from the weather. But so they're all just air stairs. So you board the plane outdoors. But when it's a nice day in Southern California, I'm not going to complain too much. So they do not typically have jet bridges at Burbank Airport. But with the weather in Southern California, you don't need it. Also, Burbank is named after the entertainer Bob Hope and is close to a lot of the Hollywood studios and TV production studios in Burbank. Right now, we've got Delta 57 from Amsterdam right there, an A330, the old variant, not the 900, but the A330-300, making its way onto runway 34 left. So let's enjoy. Just kind of doing a little wheelie there, just coasting in on two wheels. All right, and as I said, I believe the smallest airplane in Delta's fleet, the Delta Connection fleet, is just around the corner, an CRJ 200. But in the meantime, we'll take a quick look west at the Ochre Mountains. And one of the things while we're waiting for that CRJ, yeah, I like the A220 way better than the 175 or really the 195, E195 for sure. The E195 is a little bit larger, so absolutely. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. No question about that. About 18 minutes ago, we're going to stay on till about 2 o'clock hour. Waiting for that tiny little CRJ to see if it'll make its, oops, sorry about that, will make its way to runway 34 left. One of the things I was mentioning is for ATC, you got to be careful routing a really small jet like that behind a really large jet like the A330 because you'll run into wake turbulence, which is a topic for another time. But basically, you know, when you're in the air, those wings, they create what are called eddies or waves in the air. And those waves are basically like parcels of air and can create turbulence. So when you're riding in a small jet behind a large one, you definitely want to give enough space between the two. Let's see if ATC tricked me on this one. They did. They put them on the east side. That's not very nice. I was really looking forward to that. Just for size comparison. Sad day. See what we got in the next 15 minutes, though. We've got a lot of east arrivals from the east, including 10:07 from Denver. Here on the trail end of plane spotting here, live at Salt Lake City International Airport. We'll head back to Concourse A and see what's going on with those. See if we've got anybody getting ready to depart shortly. See if we see any wing walkers out there. Wing walkers is a term you'll hear for the guys who help guide the planes out. They work the ramp, but wing walkers, one of their major functions is to, as you see them walk along the wings, to make sure they don't run into other planes, people, vehicles, and anything like that, so that it's safe for the pilots, because the pilots, they don't have rear view mirrors, right? So wing walkers are people you'll see marshaling the planes in and out. So thanks for everybody to tuning in here as we get towards the tail end, of plane spotting. But it's been a fantastic day. Reached a new record in viewers and likes. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. Made some new friends, and that's exciting. So I wish I could. That bridge was not in the way. That's I think that A319 that arrived from Boise early about an hour ago. So it's getting the pushback from the ramp. And depending on which airline and the philosophy, they may taxi out using only one engine. Why? Well, it's pretty simple to just save fuel and save money. Or sometimes, depending on the weather, they may use two engines. So like on a cold day like this, you may use two engines. And while we were mentioning wing walkers, one of the things that I will touch on briefly is when you start out, a lot of airplane jobs are seniority based. So they're typically, a lot of them, the operations are union. And so seniority comes into play. So when you're bottom of the line ramper, wing walker, you typically have the rougher schedule and maybe always have to be the lav cart driver. So the person who empties the toilet. So if you're thinking about a career on the operations side, they do have good benefits, of course, but just take that into account. Do you want to be outside all the time? Are you able to handle a seniority based schedule that is based on bids? So whoever is most senior gets to bid on the schedule. So typically the older senior, more employees get the better schedule. So just keep that in mind. And typically ramper for a lot of airlines is a unionized position. So they're based on seniority. And some non-union airline positions are seniority based as well. So just keep that in mind. Now, typically, starting pay for rampers, I know Southwest has advertised. Tyson, thanks. Some of my videos have a YouTube link to the PayPal, but we're not quite at the point where we can do donations. We need a little more subscription. So just for right now, I'll tell you what, subscribe and we'll let you know in the next broadcast and we'll give you the PayPal link. But thank you so much for being willing to donate. But for right now, just enjoy the plane spotting. And in the future, we'll get that link up and get enough subscribers and likes to get us moving in the right directions where you can donate directly. So thank you so much to everybody. And thank you, Tyson, for being so generous. So as I was saying, Southwest rampers typically start out $17-20 an hour. I know Denver, because it's a major base for Southwest, um, is a little more. So it's like $20 an hour. And that typically will be right about where other airlines will start, at least the majors, high teens, low 20s as far as um, time goes. So, yeah, just a little fun fact for you. See where this A319 is headed off to. But my camera is like, has a mind of its own. Give me a second and I'll tell you. Sometimes it's tough. Maybe Tyson, I'll hire you. 1381. This Mamma Jamma is headed to Austin, K Alpha Uniform Sierra, Austin, Texas. If you want to talk about an airport that's crammed, that would be Austin, folks. I have a brother who lives down there, and he says like half the time security line is out the terminal door. So just be aware of that. I know they're trying to build more, but they can't come fast enough. Austin is super popular. So yeah, this bad boy's headed to Austin, Texas. Keep Austin weird. Whoops. Sorry, I almost fell off the stand there. Ten more minutes to the top of the hour. And we'll sign off at the top of the hour, folks. So, in the last 10 minutes, anybody have any questions? Cindy asked a good one. How fast does it typically take? How fast does a jet have to go to take off? And short answer, as I said, it depends on a lot of factors, including how many people they're carrying, what the winds are like, the temperature. But I would say, as a rule of thumb, let's call it for a fairly full plane, on let's say an A319, you're probably 130 knots. So let's call that about 150 miles an hour, give or take a few. So that's a great question. So one of the things that just came into my mind that I thought I'd share with you, because let's face it, we're all people who love aviation. If we're doing this and we're talking about aviation, I wanted to let you know that Kansas City Airport has a brand new terminal that is scheduled to open at the end of the month, but they're actually doing a public preview on Saturday, February 18th. And you can either watch it virtually or you can do it in person. So just Google the new KCI, and that would be actually kind of cool. They give you a tour, a virtual tour, before it even opens for the public. And sorry about my microphone there. Yeah, probably the wind is probably hitting that, so I may have to adjust how I face. So I apologize for that. But Kansas City is opening a new airport. So if you want to check that out, just Google the new KCI, and you can either do the virtual tour, or if you live in Kansas City and are watching the broadcast right now, you can even sign up to get a tour. I'm going to come back here as we wait for that A319 to take off. We got a 220-300 blocking out of the gate, and it's like an A321 coming in from Minneapolis. Hope the mic is sounding a little bit better. I apologize. But thank you for letting me know. The old Pratt & Whitney engines on that A220. Looks like Austin has been cleared. Delta 1321. Robotic, eh? I'll have to check out the internet connection on that one. But thank you for letting me know. So there is 1321 headed to Austin. A319. Kind of like a sharp tail hiding. So bye to 1321. Come back to Concourse, eh? See if that 220 is fired up those engines. All right, it is taxiing out. And that 321 is taxiing in. That's what we like to see. One plane comes out, one comes in. That's good timing right there, folks. Cannot beat it. Well, we're wrapping up here in the last 5 minutes. Want to thank you for tuning in. You guys really help me have fun. This is our second time doing broadcasting. We'll continue to do that. We'll make you aware if you subscribe when the next broadcast will be. Gary, thanks so much. Join us from Atlanta, Georgia. The biggest and busiest airport in the entire world. It's hard to believe. Over 100 million people go through that airport. Gary, and it's pretty unreal. So this 220 that we're going to follow, take off, sign off. After that is headed to Dallas, Texas. And if you know anything about 220 history, Salt Lake to Dallas. Flight LaGuardia to Dallas flight by Delta. It was one of the first routes that Delta did on their A220. That's a little fun fact for you. So yeah, I've really enjoyed today. I know we had a little technical gremlin that I was about 15 minutes late starting to figure it out, and we saw a little bit of everything. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much from Maryland. Love it. And I'll definitely get out to BWI soon. Thank you, Cindy. So
can't wait.
Can't wait. We'll figure out what our next date is going to be. But the best way that you'll know broadcasting from is I'll typically send out a video a few hours in advance, but I'll also try and send one out the day before we do a broadcast. It's going to depend on a couple of things because just depending on what the traffic's like, what the weather's going to be like is a major factor. So we'll try and get a video out the day before, just a little 15, 20-second plug saying, here's where we're going to be. Join us at this time. And then the day of, we'll probably try and do another video about a couple hours in advance so that you guys know what's happening. But that's what we'll stick. That's what we'll stick with. This 220-100 to Dallas. And we've seen a little bit of everything. See some of the transcon arrivals. Salt Lake City, RW. Good stuff. I know everybody loves LAX, and for good reason because of the variety, all the heavies. Salt Lake City's all right. Beautiful place, Planespot too. We'll go to different airports as well. Kevin and Rudy. Thanks so much, Troy. Tony Earl, all the way from the UK. Thank you so much. We will make sure and let you know. But we've seen a little bit of everything. Some Southwest jets, the 220, Transatlantic arrivals from Delta, the west side of Salt Lake City. Is typically more Delta and less departures. But we on the east side, we'll be on the east side as well probably next time. Watch for that sun. But in the meantime, we'll enjoy this last departure that is headed to Dallas. Oh, good morning. From Melbourne, Australia. Love Melbourne. Love the Planespotting down there someday. And of course, some of the friendliest people down there in the great continent country of Australia. Thank you so much for tuning in. Just want to make you aware that if you missed last live broadcast Saturday of Salt Lake City International Airport, that is listed, and you can watch that. That was our first broadcast. This is our second. We're going to try and make things a little bit better. So thanks for your patience. Really enjoy bringing you the action today. Looks like Delta 21 to Dallas, Fort Worth has been cleared for takeoff. Yeah, tools. The audio I know is something we're going to work on. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. We'll see if we can get that improved. Maybe I'll turn off the next broadcast. Just go off the natural audio. So thanks guys for making me aware of that. Legs are dubbed, but I certainly want to make it entertaining and not annoying. So yeah, we'll check it out. We may do. We won't do. I have a headset that I'm broadcasting from. Maybe we do like a natural mic cam from the camera. So we'll work on it. But obviously, we want to make it entertaining. Because it's annoying. So thank you so much. And thanks for everybody. This is a great stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Just trail in. You can watch that. Watch that. Could be the low battery, Cindy. That might be an idea. Good thinking. We'll check it out. And make sure things happen. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in today.
Concourse A, saying goodbye, and also on top of the parking garage. Thanks so much. We will catch you next time. And make sure to keep an eye on your notifications on YouTube. Try and get that notification out before, and then a few hours before the day we're broadcasting that. So for now, this is me, Tim from Salt Lake City International Airport, saying good night, and we will talk to you soon.